Hey everyone, welcome to I Am Reality Now, where you're the star and story of your reality. I am Mitch,
And I'm Stephania.
And I'm Robert.
and today we have a wonderful episode for you. I Am Revision. And my revision is really all from desire, all to empower you as love, all to put you in your ideal now and make your life in harmony and contribution to what your vision is. And today we have Robert again back to talk about this with us. And Robert, why don't you quickly introduce yourself and then let's get started with I Am Revision.
Yeah, happy to be back. So again, I'm Robert Glover with the Pinnacle Group. I'm a high performance success coach. I deal with businesses and really just anybody who's looking to just move on to the next level of reality within themselves.
Yeah, and today I think that Robert and Stephania and myself will talk about revision in many different ways. We're going to talk it from a personal perspective, from a business perspective, how we can really apply this in our own lives, and how we can really find our purpose, live our highest excitement, and I think we'll start that with Robert in this way. Robert, why don't you kick this off with us regarding revision? How do you apply this in your own life? How do you apply this in your business life? How do you tie both in together to make this really in your vision?
hmm So revision for me is a technique like any other technique. And it's really forgiving, which is just releasing and forgetting. So throughout life, we have these memories, and if we're not able to forgive them and forget them, then that's what we are identifying with and we're going back to. So let's say, for example, say someone is having maybe just a difficult existence in their work life. They can never maybe excel or get to that next level of achievement. They keep hitting a wall. Maybe they go through employment, unemployment, but never hitting that level of success they truly want unless they do this personal exercise of revising, which is going back through it, disassociating the meaning, forgiving it, forgetting it, and then envisioning another meaning they'd like to identify with, their conscious mind has nothing to direct to. Really, all they have is, I don't prefer this, I don't prefer this. And that's where the conscious mind being directed to. Then they're remembering. And that's all they're going to see. Just something continually see at the horizon, ill defined, but what it is they're currently avoiding. And it's always to be that distance, that chase. Through this exercise, you forgive and you forget it and you release it. And then you're imagining something else that you would like to assign meaning to. And that's what you're directing yourself towards. So my own personal life, this has helped me tremendously with, I liken it to living, or being raised twice. You have something that you have these formative memories where you're grateful for it because now you have the depth perspective of it, but also too, you have the contrast of what you do prefer. And that's what you're remembering and moving forward with. And that is what you're identifying with and now expressing a new identity. You really only will do that so many times to really course correct the direction that you're wanting. And it's been a tremendous technique that I've used with a lot of my personal clients and coaching, whether it be business or just individuals. But it's a tremendous thing. It's very liberating. When we talk about forgiveness, that is the liberation from it. That is the freedom from it.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that the way I like to present it is in personal professional life is we're always revising. Even though we look at it on the spot, we're typically what revising is also persisting. So we're persisting in our state of being. We're persisting in who we really are, which is love. And sometimes we have an illusory belief in terms of effects. So we think we're revising the effects sometimes, like we didn't want that to happen, when we're actually revising the cause, because we're always persisting in the cause. We're always persisting in the state of being. So as you mentioned, Robert, I agree with you, forgiving and forgetting, because when we forgive, we forget. We really don't want to remember that we want to remember it righteously. And that's what forgetting is, remembering it righteously. And when we do so, then we forget. When we that's the kind of the contradiction in a way. The irony is that when we forget, we remember it righteously, which is right consciousness. So we're always persisting in the wish fulfill, which is love at the end of the day. And but we're always revising. So in that regard, um, we're always looking to persist in who we are and throughout our journey, whether it's eh, personal or professional. It's very similar. Now in professional ways, we looked at our clients or our service to be successful, which is really us being successful. Our clients being successful is us being successful. And it's really the same scenario where, we're successful together. And no matter what happens, we're successful together. So it doesn't really matter. Circumstances don't matter. Only our state of being as success matters. So if anything deviates from that, we return to the wish fulfilled, which is revision, which is forgiving and forgetting. We're always revising back. Now, because we're perfection and because we're love, we notice all subtle nuances to that perfection. So anything that comes up or arises in consciousness, we have the opportunity to get back to who we are. These are all symbols,
Mhm.
symbols of who we are, symbols in who we are as love. Whether the symbol is of, the award or the success or the business goal. These are all symbols, but the symbols is symbolic of a state of being, which is who we are as cause, and that's kind of the reference point to getting back to the what is it, the model of what we're looking to achieve. So I think that's really very helpful reference um, to do. Steph, what's your thoughts?
So, hi guys. I agree with both of you guys. And I think it's important to relate to the audience for you guys that are new here what revision is. So, revision was a term coined by Neville Goddard. And in the manifestation community, if you guys are not aware, and most likely in the law of assumption community, is basically reimagining something in a different way, right? You're revising a scene in your memory bank that has a high emotional charge and it's consistently showing up in your awareness in your day-to-day life, right? So then when the emotion becomes so heavy and the memory is always chasing you, you become kind of like a victim to your past, right? So it's not conducive to the new identity, to the new experiences you get to so joyously create and live in your present moment, right? You're here to enjoy life, you're here to thrive. And these ghosts of the past, take away your peace and your love and your joy. And so, revision, as described by Neville Goddard, was so exciting as a really cool concept because you get to go into your awareness and reimagine it. I sometimes call it re-envisioning it. I I've seen it done where like in Neville Goddard's books, I don't know which one specifically, but he'll say somebody that has a quote unquote chronic pain or chronic condition that is chasing them in their day to day life because why? They have a memory that told them they fell as a child and now, forever their hips are going to have issues. And they keep revisiting that memory and they have that story. They have identified with the story. And now it becomes a self fulfilling prophecy. And that's why revision is so cool because this person can then go into a meditation, go into their awareness, disrupt the story, and recreate it. And what happens? They go back to the time when they were a child, they fell off the swing. And this was a very specific Neville Goddard story where
Mhm.
somebody fell off a swing. And now they can reimagine it that they never fell off the swing. They feel the momentum, they feel the excitement, they give their senses new direction to recreate a new story, to detach from the old, now identify with something new, which is love, joy, peace, right? Fulfillment. And now you're actually letting go of the pain of the past. And it is very, very useful because it's a very quick way of letting go and you have this memory that is kind of giving you PTSD or you're identifying with. And now that you know this, you're like, wait, I can change it. And this is where meditation, re-envisioning, revision, and love really comes in. Why? Because love is the greatest purifier. Why? Because oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, from the scientific perspective. However, additionally, that is really who you are. And that's where you actually give yourself relief physically. Why? We're reimagining the story that has the highly emotional fear that's keeping your body reactive. And because you're so reactive to the story, it keeps happening over and over and over again in your physical life. And so it's so cool when you can sit in the love that you are. That's why I have these meditations we can put more in the channel, Mitch, where you remember what love feels like. You remember what peace feels like. You remember what joy feels like. You can even use the same memories that gave you that to begin with. The loving, oxytocin-filled memories with your parents, with your friends, whatever it is that you have that winning emotion. Now you take that old memory that was giving you discomfort and it's haunting you. Now you overlay that love into it and you can rewrite the story. Rewrite the
Mhm,
story, like, and that's why, like, love is the greatest purifier because now you're
mhm.
fueling the fear, you're alchemizing as more of a metaphysical term, but it really is, you're erasing it from the program, you're erasing it from your body, and then you're actually gonna see that the new story becomes your truth. Like, you are a living prophet, and you're creating the new, and that's why revision is so important because you're deleting everything that you don't need to be anymore.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to toss this over to Robert now regarding that because what you said was pretty profound that your truth is the story. And Robert, for you, that's what the truth is, right? We're getting back to the truth, and the truth will set you free because your truth is the proof. So, in terms of the way you handle revision, Robert, and with your clients, how do you look at the truth? Because the truth is the standard.
Yeah, so if we were to just look at just God, source, universe as a whole, however you want to label that, I always like it to put it like a kaleidoscope. And just think of a tube just like this, and God's source is the light that's shining through that. It's through our perspective is the glass that we put on that and the patterns that we're putting on that. And when we talk about revision, we can look at that and we can be perhaps dissatisfied, or we don't prefer the meaning that we're applying through that kaleidoscope when we're looking at it. But those are what we are choosing to, whether it's the grayed out glass, it's the fractured glass. We can shift and change that pattern up or choose colors to reflect and magnify and project the image that we want to see. So that's really what it is. And I do 100% agree with what Steph's saying in that in example. It's not only going back and choosing those memories, because again, the brain is just a manifestation of the mind. What it is that, whether it's through painful memories with high cortisol that we're avoiding, uh, we don't want to associate with those, but instead, how Solomon says, without a vision, the people perish. You need to have a vision, a North Star to direct your attention instead. So you needed that
Yeah.
contrast. So it's laying it all out. And when it comes to client work, whether it's these impactful memories from our upbringing or just unfortunately how we, again, it's depth of perception and perspective for everybody. What's little to some person is significant to another. It's walking through those things and determining why is it that I assign this meaning? What is it the meaning that I don't prefer, that I am avoiding? But keeping that in my life, what is it that I choose instead to identify with? Because that's what I identify with is my identity. What identity is my ideal that I'm focused on? What is that vision that I'm shooting for and attaining? Am I being that state? If I'm not, then why am I not? It's because I have not released to these things that I'm identifying with.
Yeah.
That's really what this comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% there, 100%. And I think the reason why we get into revision, why are we compelled to revise? Not only because we seek the truth, being ourselves, but because we expand. We're always expanding in our lives. We're always reaching more because that's what love does. Love thrives on love. And as a result of being as I am as love, we can't turn that off. We are always thriving and expanding and seeking higher and higher goals in our lives and having different experiences to reflect that thriving love. And as we because as I've said before in our episodes, the billionaire is looking to the next billion.
Mhm.
So and also the billionaire is looking to go into space, right? Because they're always reaching higher, and through those journeys and destinations they encounter beliefs to purify, and it's inevitable. So revision is not something to be shameful or a condemnation of any sort. It's really a growing, it's really an expansion of yourself, of growing. because
Yeah.
it's inevitable that we will be revising because we will be reaching higher. And it's really like, let's look at a bag, right? And we're expanding that bag. Well, we're going to have to kind of accommodate for this room, for this expansion. And we're going to have to put in maybe more security into the bag so it doesn't pop. We're going to have to reinforce it as it expands. Different types of methodologies in order to persist in our fulfillment of our expansion. So because we are expanded beings, and because that's what love does, it's inevitable that we're going to revise in harmony and in contribution to the new expansion, to new beliefs that arise from the expansion. So as we expand, we have new beliefs because this is unfamiliar and unknown in new types of expansion. For instance, a rock star that now has 1,000 fans now has 100,000 fans, now has 10 million fans. It's a different type of expansion that they had when they had 1,000 fans.
Mhm.
So as that expansion grows, their beliefs grow, their revision grows from the beliefs that are now changed or expanded upon. So all this is in revision is truly expanding ourselves. And it's pretty remarkable when you think about it because it all stems from your identity. Steph, you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because it's like it's this and there's more and there's more. And if you guys are watching us, like these are all these perspectives, they're pretty much stemming it from the same truth, but we have different angles to make it more relatable so you can really understand and apply the information because I know that sometimes when we're living life, it could be a little bit confusing. Like, what do you mean? I'm just going to pretend it didn't happen. And I'll be honest, in so many cases in my life, I do that. And it's the forgiving and forgetting, right? It's the forgetting part because we're energy leaders of our lives. We really are. So it's like, where do we sit? What do we believe about the world? And, I know that highly charged memories and conflict sometimes with people we love or maybe in our business, you want to carry that with you because it is jarring, it shakes you, and your central nervous system literally feels threatened. So there's like frustration and perhaps even anger in your body. But the biggest gift you can have for yourself and for those around you is really the forgive and forget, which is at the core of revision, Jesus's teachings. And it's just really, really powerful where you really get to forgive the entire scenario. It's not a pedantic, I forgive you because I'm on a throne and you peasants have offended me, you know? It's really being like, I forgive myself for believing this could even happen because at the end of it, everything is love, everything is pure. Even the person that pissed you off is full of love and is pure and really wants the best for you. And in fact, the fact that they pissed you off is to show something in yourself that now you're getting clarity for and now they're actually the gift in that reactive nature that you just had that episode with, right? So
Mhm.
really it's so cool. Everything is here to serve you. And so when you see that, you're like, I also use the Ho'oponopono, which is I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. And I remember so many things in my life were clearing, difficult relationships, difficult scenarios with jobs, finances, even coworkers. They would literally cease to exist. Somebody that was really, really bothering me at work, and some would say was an extreme case, what would I do? I would go home after work, meditate on it, send them love, and it's like, "I'm sorry I see you this way because you can only be kind and be loving in my vicinity. It's me that's carrying this emotional charge that's being manifested in the action of another," right? That's really important to convey, guys. And when you realize that all is one, you're connected to everything and you're forgiving yourself and the other and the scene, you're gonna start seeing, like, the world open up for you, like, you are the literal reality will split, and you are going to see the opportunities you deserve, the resources, the prosperity, the health, the wealth, like, it's like that, like, don't carry the animosity, forgive the illness. Forgive your if you have to forgive a bacteria, send the bacteria, like, positive, love so that it can leave you alone, it's it sounds simple, but it's in its application that you're gonna get freedom and you're gonna really thrive in your life and have a beautiful life, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, I passed
Yeah,
the baton.
the journey and the destination are one. They are fun, and Robert, you've expanded your businesses, you've expanded as your journey has evolved. Do you find that, the journey has evolved in that way to revise more or the same? Because as you expand in your business and have fun,
Mhm.
have you found this to be a more the tool to be more helpful to you?
Absolutely, not just for myself, but you can see it in others, which, even to what Steph was explaining a second ago, like if people piss you off, I always put it this way: if you're finding a situation intolerable, it's to show you that you're intolerant. That's okay. It's your choice. You could say just, but own it. There's really only two ways to go. You can either just say, yeah, I'm intolerant, and that's your identity, and you're intolerant. You love it, then that's it. Or say, no, I don't want that anymore. I'm open to more, and then change. People get mixed up, and also too, this is a tangent going on like in the how, because they sit in the crossroads of those two identities, and that's a tug of war, and that's chaos, and they see it in their life, and then it's projected to them in more intolerable situations. And I'm just speaking for one dynamic of intolerance. There's innumerable dynamics of life, and they're all bleeding together. And that's what you have chaos in your life, where these things will resonate and ring true for you, where it's truth. And then you're like, but there's always a but, and you're assigning identity to these other things, which is an illusion, and you're stuck on this tug of war. But to get back
Exactly.
to your question as far as like business is concerned, which kind of plays off of that, is yes, you have to. You're doing it already. It's a lot of people are doing it unconsciously because you're remembering things for a reason. It's life is a course correction, and you're remembering it because it could be whatever the circumstance is, but to you, and the perceived in a way, it could be unfavorable. It could be I'm not hitting the growth I want to hit, or I can't get beyond the ceiling, or anything else that you don't want to assign meaning to anymore. It keeps presenting it to you, so you have the opportunity to revise it and change. So many
Yeah.
people are doing this though unconsciously, where they finally get to the point where something impactful happens, and then they go, "Well, it kind of just happened naturally." And that's where life is kind of like this. You're never seeing it rocket shoot up like you're wanting to. You can make that decision at any point in time to decide to do that. It's just revising and changing, setting that vision to do that, which is a beautiful
Yeah.
gift that we all have.
Yeah, it certainly is a gift. It's our birthright and gift, and we go from 1 to 10, literally. And when we have that reference experience, when we do apply revision and we are fulfilled by it, we actually are changing our reality. We're changing our perception of it. We're really changing it because reality is just ourselves, our perception of it. And it is sheer power. And the more that you apply revision and the more that you change your state of being to what you prefer and persist in who you are and being as I am, you realize you are empowered in this life. You don't have to go unconscious anymore. You can change the trajectory of your life and the way you feel day to day because then you're thinking from who you are as love. And I think that's what we're really learning from these modalities is because we're really learning what imagination is. We're learning what imagination is because we're able to persist in the state of being we prefer. And all these modalities is what that does. And essentially we are revising every moment of time to who we are, to persisting to who
Yeah.
we are. And I think we're getting to the bottom of the hour. So I'm going to wrap this up. I hand it over to Stephania for some parting words.
Mhm. So, if you guys have made it this far, thank you so much. This is only our part one on revision. There's so many more things we can touch on. We're really excited to, like share more about this very, I don't want to say controversial. It could be a controversial topic. I don't know, but it's a highly talked about topic in the community, and it's definitely useful. And with that, also remember that it's also you now, right? Like, remember that there really is no past technically to revise because all is happening right now. So, being in the present moment is going to be also really, really useful and eventually it gets easier. It's going to be like an automatic process, right? Instead of like automatically letting your mind drown into the unpreferred, you're going to have that resilience to choose what do I prefer, and then you carry the vision with you, and it becomes really easy, guys. Like I promise you, like your day to day becomes fun, and you're selecting. Like you just know the tree's going to grow. You just know if you plant a seed and you water it, it grows because you have sunlight all around you and water's easy to get, and that can be your life too. And with that, have a wonderful day. Leave us comments. Let us know what you're up to. Share your success stories. If you want to be part of our project, let us know if you want to contribute. Um, I'm about to take it off. Robert, do you want to say anything else about this?
No, yeah. I think this is a really good conversation. I'm looking forward to our live event, and we're gonna delve into this even a bit more. You know, you highlighted a lot of things where I think people can really, I think they know down the core because again, we're just remembering truth. I
Yeah.
think uh, they know that through forgiveness that they would receive more, but they're always what always comes up is the how, and I think that's what we'll touch on next time is when you forgive, you release, and you let go, and that creates a vacuum, and that vacuum has to be filled. And I think that's what we'll discuss probably next time is how that actually through revision you are receiving these things.
All right, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining us on I Am Reality Now, where today's episode was I Am Revision. And thank you, Robert, for joining us today. I think we really were inspired in terms of how we connect the dots between personal and business, and certainly using revision as a modality to really empower you to persist in the wish fulfilled and be as I am, and always look at it in terms of love. So, on that note, I am Mitch.
And Robert.
Have a great day, guys.